I was asked, in fact, to present an overview of the central theme of the conference, that's transgression. But in place of a formal and banal overview, I thought I'd like to just offer my thoughts on transgression in Korea by way of a brief, non-specialist reading of the three films that comprise Park Chan-wook's Vengeance trilogy. That's Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Old Boy, and Lady Vengeance, as you all know. These three surprisingly, or maybe not so surprisingly, successful films put the theme of violence and transgression on center stage and arguably made them consumer-friendly ideas in Korea and elsewhere. But the point I'd like to make today, just in case I never get to it, is that violence and transgression in these films can't be taken for granted. That's literally the point that I want to make. So they are, I argue, meaningful only if we examine them in context. Are Park Chan-wook's films really just arty exploitation films? Is it true that the cruelty in Park's films carries no meaning beyond the creator's ego? And this is Darcis's own words. This paper argues that the transgressive elements of Park's films are not senseless, superficial, or meaningless gimmicks, as Darcis suggests. On the contrary, Park's Vengeance trilogy consistently relies on these elements to reflect critically on the neoliberal restructuring of post-IMF Korea, and I never thought I'd be using these words actually, and raise important questions about moral agency. But it must be borne in mind that Park's trilogy does not promote Hollywood values, such as aesthetic relativism, it's a dog-eat-dog world, for example, or poetic justice, the good are rewarded, the evil are punished, and so on and so forth. Instead, the trilogy shows a strong commitment to exploring the question of morality through the lens of cruelty, violence, transgression, and more importantly, secular values, and such as responsibility and free will. So tragically, all the protagonists are good, kind people, and they all happen to be guilty of transgression. This intended juxtaposition of the protagonist's kindness and their cruelty was not meant to serve as a convenient way to demonstrate the irrationality or violence or the fickle nature of human beings. Rather, it was meant to serve as a way to underscore the complexity of the web of causality and moral agency. This complexity, however, is deceiving. Park's trilogy may complicate the causality of guilt and thereby challenge the Hollywoodization of morality, but what remains unchanged and unchallenged is the notion of answerability. I'll end it with a couple of slides, actually, really quickly. So, what Park does in his films is he basically claims that if you've transgressed, and the transgression here isn't a given, you have to pay for it. You either have to pay for it by cutting your own belly open, like you see here in this film, or you cause pain in others. But what happens is it retroactively, after you see pain in the film, it retroactively makes people guilty of transgression. So even if they didn't intentionally cause the death of somebody, it doesn't matter. Intention in that case is not an issue. Pain is intentionally inflicted, and that makes their acts transgressions and hence guilty.